Everybody, welcome to another episode of Joy Meets World. On this podcast, I am sharing about my trips around the United States to see all the national parks with my 5-year-old foxhound, Quincy. And today I am covering Saguaro National Park, which is in Arizona. Now, I left to come to Tucson, which is right near Saguaro National Park, from New Mexico, Mayhill, New Mexico, which is about a 6-hour drive. It's about 322 miles to downtown Tucson. A little bit farther if you're going directly to the park, but not by much, by about maybe 20 minutes. The trip here was an adventure for sure. It was through the desert. About halfway through the trip, my oil change light came on, which was a surprise to me because I had 2,000 miles left before I needed an oil change, according to the little sticker. So I was alarmed. I thought something was wrong with my car. Long story short, what I found out is the last person who had done my oil change had forgotten to reset the computer. So I was alarmed for no reason. On top of that, there happens to be dust storms that come through New Mexico and Arizona in that particular part of the states that I was driving through. And as I was driving, there are these signs and flashing lights to be aware of dust storms, to pull over, to go slow, to not do anything crazy, but essentially all these flashing lights, and it was alarming. I've never experienced that before. I don't know if it's just a pretty common thing in that part of the state because people weren't slowing down. I was probably the only one who actually followed the signs and showed some caution. But all that to say, there was no dust storm that I could see. It was a little bit windy. I could feel the wind pushing the car a little bit, but there was definitely no visibility issues and nothing that would equate to a dust storm. So thankfully I lucked out there. I guess those signs are just up because it's a potential thing that could happen with that kind of wind. And then the whole time there were these dark, dark storm clouds literally sitting right over the road. And it looked like the cloud was there were some parts that were almost reaching down towards the road. It reminded me a lot of sort of how a tornado would start and that funnel would start. But it was just clouds. But it had me on high alert because I thought it was going to downpour rain, like blinding rain, because I have seen clouds like that before and that's what it's done. But I just got a little sprinkle the whole time and so no rain. So thankfully I lucked out there as well. Past some amazing mountains on either side of the road. I feel like that's been the story since I've been in Texas. Throughout Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, it's just super flat and desert, but also these mountains that just pop up from the side of the road. There was what I would call a crazy looking formation, rock formation at one point. I think it's a state monument or a state park, but it literally looked like red clay balls or like strange shaped clay that was just stacked bizarrely on top of each other. Like it didn't even make sense how it was stacked or why it would be standing. It's the most bizarre thing I have ever seen. I didn't get a picture of it or a video because I was driving on high alert, but it was probably the strangest formation, geological kind of landscape thing I've seen so far on my trip. So that was the trip from New Mexico to Tucson. I was able to put my car in the shop on Monday and get all of the oil change stuff worked out and everything fixed. So everything's good there. On Sunday, I went to Saguaro National Park, which again is about 25 minutes outside of Tucson, depending where you are. I'm staying downtown. Saguaro National Park was made a national monument in 1933, but it wasn't officially a national park until 1994. So it's one of the newer national parks. There are no pets allowed, so I dropped Quincy off at a grooming appointment at PetSmart and just went to the park while he was there. It was warm out, it was dry, it was mid-60s when I got there. I got there early afternoon, I would say, maybe 11, 12 o'clock. And it was probably the most perfect day for hiking there could be because it was just that perfect temperature outside and it wasn't humid, so it was cool in the shade. Very, very sunny, cloudless day, blue sky. There is a loop drive that goes around the park, and that's true for many of the national parks. Almost all of them have some kind of, that I've been to so far, have some kind of like loop drive that you can do around the park and see everything. All the trailheads were off of the loop. There were a lot of spots, a lot of overlooks that you could stop and look and take pictures. There were a lot of like hikers and walkers and joggers on the paved loop road itself as well. So I guess that's something popular to do as well. I parked at the Freeman Homestead Trail, and that's the one that I hiked. It's called that because it has an old homestead on it, which is actually just a pile of dirt right now. But there used to be a homestead there in the 30s. The Freeman family owned it. They built it there because there was like a wash, which is basically where when it rains, it's like the side of a canyon that kind of fills with water and becomes a river. So that's why they set up their homestead there. And that family owned most of the land until it became a national monument. There's 120 miles of trails at Saguaro National Park, so I think I would love to come back and do more of the trails. They look really cool. The park is named for the giant saguaro cactus, and I wouldn't say it looks like a forest of cactuses, but if there was a forest of cactuses, that's what it would look like. I mean, they're just all over the place. Every couple feet, there's one of these giant saguaro cactuses, and you can see on my Instagram story and my reels and my photos. I love cactuses. I think they're so cool. And there wasn't just the giant saguaro cactuses. There were also, a diverse amount of smaller kind of ground cactuses as well, which was super cool. One of my favorites that I learned about was called the teddy bear cactus. And it's a tiny, tiny little mini cactus, but it looks really fuzzy and like cuddly. So I get why they named it a teddy bear cactus. Saguaro National Park gets 10% of rain a year, but that's enough for all of the wildlife and the plant life to survive. And I didn't know this before, but a saguaro cactus has like the accordion kind of outside design because it shows how much it holds water, or it's not holding water. So if there's a lot of water in the cactus, that accordion design will be less distinct, and there's less water, it will be more severe. And the pine needles are not the pine needles. Why did I say that? Just the needles on the cactus are in place of what a traditional tree would have as leaves. So the needles on a cactus actually do provide shade for the cactus, which I didn't know. And the whole park is surrounded by the Rincon mountain range. So there's tons of mountains just surrounding the entire park, the entire desert, and it really is rolling hills the whole park, and then, of course, you get into the actual mountains. So I love Saguaro National Park. I think it's my favorite park so far. I love the desert. I really like cacti. I think they're just so cool. I love the climate out here. So it was really cool seeing them in person and seeing them cacti that are twice as tall as you are, if not more. Just really fascinating and different. I think lessons learned, pros and cons, things I liked, things I didn't like. So the Airbnb that I'm staying at is probably my favorite so far. It has a little gated area to park my car and hang out on a patio. It has cacti in it and aloe plants and a lemon tree. So it's super cool. I love it. I really like Tucson. I mean, I wouldn't say there's anything distinct or amazing about the city. The University of Arizona is here. But I just like it. I like the vibe that's here. I love how close the park is to Tucson. So those are all of the things I liked. Obviously, the thing that I didn't like was, having issues with my car and kind of having a stressful drive with the possibility of the elements. But I guess that's something you always have to kind of take into account and face, and just go slow. I would love to hear from you, though, if you've ever been in a dust storm or heard of them, or any tips for kind of driving through the elements and staying safe while doing so. The next place I'm headed to is Petrified Forest National Park, which is also in Arizona. It's in northern Arizona. So if you have any tips for traveling there or any questions about that park, just leave it in the comments and I'll try and answer it as best I can. Until then, I hope that you have fun and safe travels wherever life is taking you.